Aloha. This is Helena Summer Medina, and you are watching Living Delicious with Helena. Our guest today is the most significant storyteller in the state of Hawaii, and he has a comedian blood boiling inside of him. Welcome, Jeff Gear.
Oh! I'm really excited. It's a very exciting show.
As you can see, we are just rolling spontaneously, and Jeff is... Are you hungry, Jeff?
No.
So what is going on with you?
Is that a lead into the delicious show? We're thinking about eating?
Yeah, you know what? Actually, I want to tell you something.
What?
Why I invited you to the show?
I'm all ears.
Because my show is Living Delicious with Helena. And I noticed that when I interview people who have a lot of accomplishments and great things, they're doing amazing things for humanity and the whole community. But if they are not sharing their light, it doesn't go through. And whenever I'm thinking, who is delicious? And you show up. You have a delicious presence about you. And even if you go and fake like something, you are still so attractive to look at and listen to.
Well, I'm glad you have that opinion. There are many who don't. Yeah, well, let's stick with that theme on the moment.
Okay, so let me keep my opinion.
Yeah, hey, thank you. Thank you.
You're
That's
welcome.
delicious.
So tell me, Jeff, what is storytelling? Because what I know about it is I'm going to sleep and I'm 3 years old and my mom speaks me a story about Cinderella and 3 little pigs and whatever. And now, so here's the grown-up man and he's telling me about stories.
Right. Well, I've done a lot of arts, and the thing that gets me about storytelling is that it's the most concise, compact form of theater of the imagination that I've yet found. You can walk into a room with complete strangers and walk out 45 minutes later having totally had a ball. They've gone somewhere, something powerful will happen. It happens to be my labor, my job, to go to thousands and thousands of summer fun programs, talk to jillions of oceans of children, and I can attest to the fact that if you tell them a story, years later they will come up to you and even be able to tell you precise details about the story that you told them. It's part of this human psyche. After you do an act, you tell the story of the act. It's fundamental to human cognition. It is profoundly moving. I think that it's the basis of religion. The things that we hold dear, we encode in a story, and if it's powerful enough, it will outlast our monuments, our pottery shards, our great leaders. It's all in the story. Story is the way that you sink a point. It's the way that people really take things in. Think about it. You go to church. You sit there. There's a nice choir. Then there's a guy in the front. What's he do? He starts with a story. Then he'll take 45 minutes and tell you what it means and how to apply it to your life. But that little kernel, that nut, that seed comes from somebody a long time ago that's not in the room. But the story lives on because it contains something that's powerful enough to warrant the attention and the tongue and the breath to continue on and on and on and on.
That sounds like you really research your topic. Everything you're speaking now, it's like, based on Wikipedia and the psychological or other researches. But you are a mature man. So you've been telling stories when you were a kid, and then what happened? How did you continue?
Well, my own story? I was a painter. I always thought drama people were weird. Is my hair all right? What's my part?
To be or not
right.
to be.
And,
very dramatic.
And learning the script and becoming the part. What's my motivation and all that stuff.
Yes.
Well, in storytelling, you do all that stuff, but you play all the parts. And if you don't like the script, you change it. Or if like I do a lot of dreaming. And when I take a story, somebody will tell me an anecdote about their life. Take an example.
Yes.
Last weekend, I go to a garage sale. I walk up. They got stuff out. It's an old house in Kaimuki. I walk up, like my girlfriend, wife, we're walking up, and she starts
Your
picking over
girlfriend
stuff.
and your wife?
They're both. Same person.
Oh, wow. Oh, I see. Okay. I
And
thought
so
you
I walk
have two
up.
and they're friends.
Well, she's been a girlfriend longer than she's been a wife. Never mind. On with the story. So I walk up, and the guy on the steps goes, "Oh, no." And the lady turns around, both round. She goes, "I don't want to talk to you." And I say, "Why not?" She goes, "I heard you talk a lot." And I say, "What you mean?" "Oh, you scared the heck out of me." And the guy on the steps goes, "Yep. Yeah, we know about you. Yeah, we got your CDs and everything." I'm like, "Well, that's nice. Go ahead, shut up, honey. Let's talk." Darned if they didn't start telling me about the house they grew up in New Uanu, where how it was haunted, how they locked the doors because the spirits come in, how they heard the sister out in the pool because they picked her out, taken her out the window and thrown her in the pool, how little spirit, "Excuse me." Just all this stuff coming up. And I'm like, it's my life. So you think, okay, there's an anecdote that somebody's told me, right? They've told me about their life. They've told me about this thing that happened. So I'll tell you about it. I'll tell my friends about it. Start talking about it just regularly, right?
Just like a conversational, your body's just sitting.
Yeah, well,
you probably have a facial and arm gestures, and that's about it to start
yes.
with. And then later you start with your legs and.
Well, I'm that way. I move my face and I move my body.
So you've been that way before.
Probably.
So it's not a conscious, let me engage my whole physiology.
Well, it becomes conscious when you do it 300 times.
The same story.
I'm finding what I'm trying to describe to you in a sort of ambling way is that because I talk a lot, now off a page with an actor, it's all presented.
Yes.
But my process is one of speaking it. So I talk and find a form. I'm going to move those parts around. I'm going to have her go, "Oh, and my sister will, just a minute. And then I'm like, "Oh, I got to go to be." And he'll wait, and then, "So I'll tell you now what happened." So I'm always playing with how to move an audience through a choreography of a story that happened to me. But by the time it becomes something that I'm performing, it's something I've really worked over, because what they said is just the beginning of it. What's actually the responsibility of a storyteller is to take whatever they're doing, whether it's written in a book and it was written down by somebody, or you heard it in a cafe or in a bar or wherever it was. What you're doing is you're choreographing the ups and downs, the topography of that story, the emotional highs, where you want them to laugh, where you don't want them to laugh, where it's not funny at all. Because that's your responsibility, and when you're before somebody who's really worked over what they're doing, you're taken care of. You trust that person. They know what's going to go on, and you just go, "Take me there, man. I'm yours." And it's like being cared for and led somewhere, like a journey. And they know where you're going, and you trust them to just take care of you. I tell a lot of spooky stories because we're full of mana. Hawaii has a lot of spiritual stuff, like the guys in the garage sale. And you love going there, but you don't want to live there. You want to come out. So
it's like you're driving a bus, and you invite, with your presence and the persona, you invite people to the bus. And then you tell them, "I'm going to take you down, and it will be scary, and we're going to go up and everywhere until we come to the place." And that's the view. Do you have the view, the point of each story? Like a deeper meaning, life-changing, something you do?
You have to know. You have to know even if you don't state it.
So even if it's something from your life that happened to you that was...
especially.
Can you take something that was not funny and turn it... Because usually it's not funny when you fall and break your knee, but when we watch it on the videos, it's like funny clips on YouTube. And it's all people breaking bones, heads, and maybe being invalids after that.
Right, skateboarders.
Oh boy.
Yeah, that's funny.
And somehow everybody's laughing. People's comments, "Oh my God, I laugh so much." But, it's not funny while you're doing it.
Of course not. Of course not.
So how do you
actually
take
in the storytelling